Hi, I'm Kelly Emery, and I am a lactation consultant and nurse and owner of Baby Beloved. I've been working with moms for about 25 years now, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about breastfeeding in the early days. Breastfeeding, as if you haven't figured that out yet already, can be a very loaded and confusing topic. Lots of information out there on the internet, and not to mention like from your maybe horror stories from your sister-in-law, or maybe some good stories floating out there too. But it can be a big mix of like what's normal and what's not normal. Why does breastfeeding work sometimes, and why does it not work other times? So the first thing I want to talk about is taking a breastfeeding class. This will just be a short little snippet, but there are longer, like I teach a 3-hour breastfeeding class that goes way in depth about most of these topics. So I highly recommend taking a breastfeeding class. It is if it's something that you've never done before, it behooves you to get some information about what's normal, what's not normal, how your breasts work, how your babies work. You know, when we went through middle school health ed class, we just skipped right over our breasts. We talked about our periods and whatnot, but we really didn't talk much about our breasts. But they're amazing things, and there's lots going on around your breasts right now while you're pregnant, and even more so, more to come once your baby comes. So it's a good idea to get educated about your body and about babies and breastfeeding and what that's all about. And I highly recommend bringing your support person. Any kind of partner you have, a dad. If your support person is going to be your mom, bring your mom. Just like bringing a second set of ears to listen to all this is highly recommended. When we look at the data, and we do data, lactation people do data and research on this sort of thing, and we look at what makes breastfeeding work for some people and not work for others. Time and time again, we find that it's not the influence of the lactation consultant, it's not the pediatrician or the OB. The number one factor whether breastfeeding works or not is the dad and the partner, and whether they're on board with it, because he's going to be with you at 2 a.m., not me. So he's going to be someone who knows what to say to get you through, how to advocate for you, how to help you out in the ways that you need helping out. So if the dad or any kind of support person can come along, that is, again, highly recommended. Breastfeeding, going through the classes is the first part of it, but really it's going to be on-the-job training. So it's when you actually have the baby in your arms is when the rubber hits the road, and you're going to understand more about what breastfeeding is about, and that's completely normal. But it's a stepwise process. So just like riding a bike, if you took a class, if you'd never seen anybody ride a bike before, but you took a class and you read a huge book on how to ride a bike, that's not going to be as helpful as you watching someone ride a bike. So you watch your older sister or brother ride the bike, and you kind of get a feel for where they put their hands and their feet and what they do and how fast they go. And then when it's your turn to get on the bike, you have a better understanding of what it's supposed to look like. You'll fall off a few times, and you'll get back on the bike, and then you'll fall off a few times. You may have some training wheels behind you, and maybe your dad holding the back until you feel comfortable to just go out on your own. But it is a process. It's a learning process. So the same goes with breastfeeding. So the breastfeeding class is the first part of kind of learning. And then also, if you know anybody for whom breastfeeding is working and working well, if you can get with them and kind of just watch them breastfeed. And just the more you watch it and you see it and ask your questions, the better it's going to implant in your brain as well. And you have the benefit of YouTube nowadays, where you can, without asking anybody, you can just go on there, and there's tons of breastfeeding videos. So that's something that's in your favor as well. So you can kind of see what it's supposed to look like and just the different ways that women do it. So that's something that's free to do, and I highly recommend doing that as well. All right, so let's talk about the first couple days when you have your baby. Actually, back up a little bit even before that. You are making milk. If you've made it past the 16th week of pregnancy, you already have the first meal made. So it's called colostrum, and it's in there, and it's thick, and it's yellow, and it's very small amounts. But it's just waiting in there, kind of swirling, waiting for your baby to be born. So you don't have to think about it. You don't have to look on any recipe book, anything like that. Just, it's already made for you. And it's just because we're mammals, that's what we do. We make milk. So you don't, even if you're gonna formula feed, you're making your first meal is already made anyway. So just, that's how that happens. Colostrum in small amounts, like I said, and even in the last parts of your pregnancy, you may even leak a little bit, and you'll notice on your bra that, oh my gosh, there's some yellow seepage on my or on my bra, or my bra is wet. That's completely normal. It just means your body's making a lot of milk, and it's just kind of that colostrum, and it's just kind of seeping out. So that's not a big deal. You can wear some nursing pads if you want to. But it's yellow because it's really high in beta carotene, which is the same sort. It's a very strong antioxidant. It's what you find in like carrots and that sort of thing that gives it that yellowish orange color. A couple days later, maybe a week or so later, it's going to turn into like a more whitish color that you might think of when you think of milk. But the normal first milk that comes out is going to be yellow, so that's completely normal. And some women leak and some don't, so don't read too much into that. If you're not leaking, it doesn't mean you're not making milk. It just means you get to save a lot of money on nursing pads, so that's okay. So when your baby comes out and your baby's first born, we're gonna try our best to do this. It's called like the golden hour, or that first hour where we put the baby skin to skin with you. As long as mom's healthy and baby's healthy, and the nurses and doctors will do all of their assessments. They'll do a quick check to make sure everybody's healthy, and then they're just going to let the baby stay on you until that first feeding occurs. So you're going to hold the baby. They're going to dry it off a little bit. They're going to put a blanket over both of you to keep your baby warm next to you, and you're just going to lay there and you're going to stare at your beautiful baby, and you're just going to kind of take in everything that just happened and celebrate the new moment. But sometime in that first hour, when you're laying back and you're holding the baby on you like that, your baby's going to start something called a breast crawl, and it is the most amazing thing to see. Like it's my favorite part of my job, if I get to witness it at all. So it's something where the baby is on you, and after they're kind of gobsmacked, like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And then after a while, it could be 40 minutes, could be 30 minutes, could be 45 minutes, whatever. All babies will start doing this, displaying these different reflexes that help them crawl to the breast. They're born with over 20 reflexes that help them crawl to the breast. You don't have to really help them too much get to the breast. They're already capable little beings even from the get-go. And if you think of any other mammal on the planet, a dog, a cat, a little piglet, the mother dog, cat, and piglet don't latch their little newborns. Those little newborns have to crawl and wiggle and find their way, even if they can't see. They go by sight, and they go by smell, and they go by their instincts to find the teat and latch on. And we're finding when we give our little smart babies the opportunity to do that, they can do that too, and it's the coolest thing to watch. Now, if for whatever reason you have to have medical interventions or something is going wrong, that they have to take care of you or the baby afterward, and then you guys get to do skin to skin, that's okay. These instincts are in place for a long time, so you can reproduce that even back in your postpartum room or when you get home. So it's not something that's like a one opportunity that you get to do this breast crawl. Your baby will be able to do it over and over again, even when you get home. So hopefully, though, our goal is to get that baby on you, skin to skin with you, and we don't do any of our major assessments. We don't take the baby away until after that first feeding is done. And the reason for that is when your baby comes out, its gut is sterile. Its mouth, its throat, its esophagus, everything is sterile. It's only been swallowing your amniotic fluid, and that's it. So when it comes out, we don't want to take it away and like populate it with all of our nurse and hospital germs before you've had a chance to have your baby on your skin and your baby gets your flora, your microbiome on your skin gets into your baby's gut, which is what we want, which is a good thing. Another reason is the colostrum. When the baby takes the colostrum, as remember I said it's very thick, and so it's a small amount, but it's very thick. So when the baby takes it in, it goes down the throat and the esophagus, and it's sticky, so it sticks to the inside of your of your baby's esophagus and throat. And what that does is it creates a barrier. So like say your Aunt Mildred comes in and starts coughing all over your baby may take those viruses or bacteria or anything in, but because of that colostrum barrier, it's going to be a lot harder to get into your baby's bloodstream to cause any problems. So the colostrum it is a feeding-ish, it is a good feeding, but we look at it more like a medicine and a barrier more than anything else. And because of this, it's really, I highly recommend, again, even if you don't want to breastfeed, like breastfeeding is not for me at all, that I'm not even interested in doing that. Even if you can just nurse that one time right after delivery so the baby gets your colostrum, that would be a huge gift to give to your baby. And who knows, maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but at least your baby would, you'd have tried it, and getting baby that colostrum would be a super wonderful thing to give to your baby. So the baby will first, back to the breast crawl, and I go to the website, go to the YouTube actually, and type in breast crawl or biological nursing. There's lots of things for it, but breast crawl is probably the biggest hit that you'll get to watch a baby actually crawl to the breast. So it's very fun to see. So what the babies all do, they all do it in the same row, same order, so that we know that it's kind of hardwired into human babies, because your baby didn't take a breastfeeding class, so they didn't really learn how to do this. So we assume that they must be hardwired to do it. So they use their little stepping reflex to kind of scoot up and squirm around and find you and find your nipple. And they use their little hands to plant on your body. And then they start kind of sticking their tongue out and kind of sucking on their fist. And then they start kind of bobbing their heads and kind of flipping their body and twisting their body to travel. They choose the left or the right breast, and then they go for it. And sometimes it's just a wiggle, and sometimes they just throw their body over there. So your job is just to lean back and have the baby lean back on you, as belly to belly with you on its belly, with its head's kind of tilted back, and it uses its arms to get to you. And you just put your arm up and help however you feel naturally to do so. But try not to overthink it. Just go with your gut instinct about it and follow your baby's lead. And the nurses are there to help you as well, to help get in a comfortable position. They might put a pillow underneath your elbow, who knows, whatever you need at that moment. And then the baby just goes over there, and they open their mouth, and then they latch on. So it's very little that you have to do, and it is a really cool thing to try if you're willing. So after the first feed, so after we know that the baby's got the colostrum and they've gotten the first feed and they're so happy and all that's done, then the assessment begins, and they make sure the baby's okay, and you guys fall in love even deeper with your baby, if that's possible. And then, and then from there, while you're in the hospital, you're just gonna do lots of skin to skin like that. And if the baby starts kind of bopping over, you just follow their gut or follow their lead again, and just kind of keep doing that. Now, if you're getting sore, if you're having troubles, definitely ask for the nurses or the lactation consultants in the hospital to help you with different positions or ways that you can tweak it to get comfortable. But that's a lovely one. Just the laid back nursing, it's called too, is a lovely one to start with too, because your bottom may not feel so good right after delivery. So leaning back, doing a little bit more sacral sitting, is a nice way to go right after delivery, and in the forever, actually. It's one of my favorite positions. So in the first days, your baby's belly is very tiny. So here's a slide that shows you in the first couple days how little, and then how big your baby's stomach gets. And you'll see it's very small because you have a very small amount of colostrum. A couple teaspoons here or there is it big enough feeding in the beginning. And every day the baby's stomach will stretch a little bit more, and then they will need more. And that's around day 3, 4, 5 is when your milk supply increases. So that colostrum, more water is added to it, and you just start getting more volume. And just as Mother Nature would have it, as the baby needs more, your body will start making more. So how you ensure a good milk supply and for this milk to come in nice and fast for the baby is lots of nursing in the first couple days. So anytime the baby is sucking on their fists and kind of looking at you and sticking their tongue out, doing any kind of any kind of cue that they want to eat, it's go for it. It's like open buffet for the baby right now, like open bar, anything, anytime. So you're just going to do lots of little practice times. They can be small feedings, they can be longer feedings, whatever it is, it's okay. Every single time it's going to signal your body to bring in the milk, bring in more milk, bring in more milk. And the baby gets a little bit of calories all throughout the day. So that's all good. Now the only time that this would not work is if your baby's premature or sometimes if you have diabetes, they may be checking the blood glucose level, or if there's some kind of medical issue going on, the nurses and doctors will guide you whether the baby needs more. But if everything's fine and everyone's healthy, there's the baby just lives off the colostrum until your other milk comes in, your more transitional milk comes in. So just, open buffet. You just nurse whenever your baby asks for it. I would recommend if the baby's going longer than 3 hours though, between feedings, I would unwrap them and just kind of talk to them, give them a little massage and put them skin to skin with you, and at least try the breast. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if the baby starts going too long between feedings, just get your nurse to help. We have very cold hands and it usually wakes them up pretty effectively. They don't like us. So so do that in the first couple days. And excuse me. And what they're going to do, because there is no gauge on the breast, so it is a bit of a leap of faith. So you're going to be checking the wet and dirty diapers to see how much the baby's getting. So they will give you a chart, and you're going to be reassured by, oh my gosh, all these diapers, whatever goes in has to come out. So that's something that's very reassuring for you when you see all the diapers. And also, conversely, if there's not enough diapers, that's when you would call the doctor or ask your nurse or get some extra help to see if what's going on. So the nurses will all instruct you on that. So nothing you have to think about right now. They will guide you through each day of that. I would recommend, if you haven't already, to get your pump at a time if you can. The pump is something that all insurances, unless you're a grandfather plan, it should be covered by your insurance. Some insurances let you get the pump ahead of time, and some make you wait for when the baby's born. There will be a link to my website. There's a great Aeroflow is the biggest supplier of breast pumps, and so you can click on that, put in your information, and they'll send you an email about what your benefits are, what pumps you're eligible for, and all these different things, and they just boom, they mail it right to your front door. So it's very slick. But every insurance is different, so you'll put in your insurance, and they'll guide you on what you can and can't get, and when you can get it and when you can't. But if you can get it ahead of time, it's kind of cool to bring it to the hospital with you, or at least keep it in your car, so in case you go into labor and you forget about it. Because if they have time, the nurses and lactation consultants, especially the lactation, they can fit you for the pump and show you how to use it. There's the things that the breast shields, they're called, that actually go on your breast. They come in lots of different sizes. So having a lactation consultant actually watch you pump and fit you for the right size is very valuable. So if you can bring your pump to the hospital, please do that. And lastly, just know that breastfeeding requires a lot of room for awkwardness and vulnerability and grace. Especially grace afforded to yourself. It's easy to afford it to the little baby because they're so innocent, but giving yourself a lot of grace is something that is really needed, especially in the first couple of weeks of breastfeeding. Especially if you're someone who is kind of hard on yourself when things don't work out in life. So sometimes in the beginning, breastfeeding doesn't automatically work out in the beginning. Doesn't mean that it won't later. But if there's a few stumbling blocks in the beginning and you need some training wheels in the beginning, just know that that's completely normal. Most women do need a little help in the beginning. It's a social sport, it's a team sport. So it doesn't mean that you're a bad mom if breastfeeding is not working out. It just means that you need your community, and you need your support system around you, and that's when to pick up the phone, or have the dad or partner pick up the phone and get some help. It can be a support group. It's like the Fight Club in Grand Rapids every day of the week, except for during this quarantine, of course, but usually every day of the week there's a support group going on. between all the hospitals, and those are free, and they're just a godsend to be able to see other moms and get some questions answered. If you want a more private setting, there's lactation in the hospitals, and then also outside. People that do home visits, such as me, will come right to your home if you want a more private setting. I'm set up for telemedicine. It's not the same as actually being person to person, but it's better than nothing during this quarantine time. So there's telemedicine options out there. Your pediatrician, your doctor, anybody, just reach out for help is the main thing, so they can get you hooked up to people. I'm not saying that breastfeeding isn't supposed to hurt a little bit. There's usually a little discomfort that comes with it in the beginning. But if you're cracked and bleeding and in tons of pain, like you're ready to throw in the towel, it's definitely time to pick up the phone or get on the internet or whatever and get some real hands-on qualified help. Someone who does this for a living, someone who really knows what you're going through and has solutions to help you heal and to get over this hump so you can get to reach your breastfeeding goal. And just know that it can take a couple weeks to feel confident and competent in this. And again, that's super normal. So know the normals and give yourself a lot of grace. Time to be vulnerable. Time to fall down, skin your knees a little bit, and then get right back up on that bike. And please do not hesitate to call me or email me if you need help. The links will be below to my website, and my phone number is on there, and I am available just about all the time. So good luck to you, and have a wonderful birth, and I hope to meet your beautiful baby someday.